Hey, John Gilroy here. In a recent interview, Will Layton said that his company can reduce waste, fraud, and abuse by hunting the bad guys. Let's talk more about this. Hit the music, Manny. Welcome to the Federal Tech Podcast, the podcast that connects you to federal technology leaders. My name is John Gilroy, and I will be your moderator. Our guest today is the aforementioned Will Layton, Senior Vice President of Global Sales at Senzing, S-E-N-Z-I-N-G. Will, I did my homework. I saw you on YouTube. You talked about bad guy hunting. And I say, wow, this is the right topic for this time in Washington, D.C. in spring of 2025, isn't it? Bad guy hunting for waste, fraud, and abuse.
It's better to be lucky or good.
Well, I think you're lucky because you're hitting in the sweet spot right here. So tell people about your company. You know, it's not a really commonly known company in the D.C. area, but it's got a strong reputation nationally. So S-E-N-Z-I-N-G. So how can you help my federal listeners?
Well, so first off, let's start off with explaining what entity resolution is, because a lot of people don't understand that term. Entities are people, companies, vehicles, or vessels, and there's attributes that describe these entities. And so our software runs in the government's cloud on their prem, air-gapped, and they load people or company data into Senzing, and we basically fuzzy match or build portfolios of this is everything we know about this person or this company. And we do it across language, so you can give us a Chinese name and we can compare it to a Romanized name. And everything that's differentiated for Senzing is we have, market intelligence around name matching, address parsing, social security numbers, things like that. Those are the type of things that people use as attributes to understand the people that they're dealing with, whether that be fraud, 360 view of your citizen, trying to make sure this person is not on a watch list, things like that.
Good. So it's called entity resolution. We know that.
Yes.
And if you and I just worked years ago, we worked in an office, walked down the hall, there's a data center there, and find out what's in this data center is fine. I mean, just for a little search or something, Today we have hybrid clouds, we got public clouds, we got these new things called alt clouds, we got Will's cloud, John's cloud. Stuff is, I don't know where this stuff is. And so how can you do an effective search in such a complex environment?
Well, everything's about what data is actually put in our engine. So in our case, each government agency would load their data. They would also load maybe third-party data from somebody like a Dun & Bradstreet or a Moody's. And then from there, you start getting a better view of the people or companies that you're doing business with or want to do business with. And so the point being, it's the data they put in and choose to put in. We don't do data. So we just sell software that runs oddly, and all those clouds you mentioned, we built to run anywhere, pretty much.
Good. So you can discover hidden relationships between bad guys or between bad entities, huh?
Yeah. So you're when we say any resolution or fuzzy matching, just imagine you're looking at people data and you've got, this is Will Layton, this is Bill Layton, and this is William Layton, and then there's a Muhammad Layton. Well, they all might be the same person, and if the data shows us, we'll put them together and say, yeah, Muhammad is actually Will in that case. And we do that in real time. So when you add data, it's giving you results immediately.
I read a lot about the business and trending words, trending phrases. AI is really trending. In the last 6 weeks, a new phrase is trending. It's called agentic AI, and people using agents and AI. All of a sudden, we have new entities out there, don't we? So when you talk about entity resolution, does it include artificial entities or I guess non-human entities?
It can, because it could be vehicles, vessels, or yeah. So and our software is used in the Malaccan Straits to search, understand ships going through the Malaccan Straits, because they're looking for bad guys. They're looking for bad products or things that should not be coming into the country.
Back in the day of simple databases, people would do something called data cleaning, and we've known about this for years. So one can argue that really what you guys do, you're just doing data cleaning, aren't you?
Well, we don't really clean the data, but we make it so that you don't have to clean the data as much.
It's the opposite.
So when you give us dates of birth, for instance, you can give it to me in month, day, year. year, day, month in any format, and we'll do the comparison. You don't need to make all dates look at the same format. Addresses, it's just a bag of words, and we just parse whatever the given is in international addresses. And so there is a part that it points out the cleansing, but we're not changing the data. We're keeping it as what was passed to us. And like when I first started at Senzing, I downloaded our demo tool and I loaded my Outlook address book into Senzing, and it was amazing the amount of duplicates that I had in 4,000 entries in my address book. And it was a lot of misspelled words. Some of it was just like, man, I'm awful. That was not very good.
Yeah. Interesting. Starting point number one, improved data accuracy. You know that. You said something earlier about being air gapped. So this is a product that may appeal to certain sensitive agencies that need to operate in isolated environments. And so you also said that you don't see the data. So you are an unusual company. You don't see the data, and you allow people to just take yours for a test drive, and you can run this in an air gap system too. It's an unusual company, Will.
It's definitely a unique business model. But with the amount of PII that we deal with, we don't want things flowing to us, because then, especially the three-letter agencies, they would not feel comfortable, obviously, with that happening.
Well, I'm a lot older than you. I remember a TV show with Ricky Ricardo, and he would turn to Lucy and go, "You got some splaining to do." That was hilarious. I think that was the funniest.
I'm not that young. I'm very
Well, what I can see happening is people may use a large language model and say, "Hey, this Will Layton's a bank robber." And then someone may come up to them and go, "Well, you got some explaining to. Show me your work." I mean, how about explainable results? And I think that I see people going to ChatGPT and getting ridiculous stuff. Well, now, that's a one thing, but in an intelligence agency or a sensitive agency, you can't afford to make those mistakes, can you?
Nope. Well, and so if you go ask ChatGPT the same question 10 times, you might get 10 different answers. and so in our case, we have built human smart systems that are everything's explainable. So when there's two records that come together, you can ask the system, why did they come together? Or if they didn't come together, why not? Or in this case, it can also be how. So you see the data flow. Because when you're a lot of different agencies, you want to show your work, right? You got to be able to prove it, because obviously making bad decisions could be costly if the data is not accurate.
You just said you downloaded. So someone who's listening to this now can go to Senzing, SENZING.com, and maybe have a trial version or test something out. Is that right?
If they click on demo app, they can download the version that runs on Windows or Mac, and it'll work up to 100,000 records for free. Our core product is an SDK that you could also download and use for free up to 100,000 records. And so if you're a developer, the latter might be a little bit more usable. But we use the demo app just so you can actually see results. You get to see, here's the compression in that data center, because a data set, and then this is how it cross compared to other data sets where you want to see where they collide.
So, Will, I think for the basics of understanding entity resolution, we may get a handle on that. So there may be agencies out there that actually understand what you do and appreciate what you do. And now the decision now isn't what is sensing, what isn't sensing. I mean, the question is, do we build it ourselves? Do we have them build it? If you say it's a toolkit, then we can probably bring the toolkit in and use it in-house, huh?
Absolutely. That's the whole point, is so that you can put any resolution in any data flow or a different product. I have some partners that have built, like Nice Optimize is the number one money laundering software used by the global banks, and we're built inside.
Huh.
And so because all we do is any in relationship resolution. That's it.
If you want to get a car that goes 160 miles an hour, you got to pay more than a car that goes 120 miles an hour or 80 miles an hour. And I would imagine if you wanted a different type of assurance with basic matching, there's different levels involved there. So do you have different levels or gateways where, well, at price X, you get 50 to 60% assurance, at Y is 80 to 90%, or is there a gradation within assurance for this relationship connectivity?
No, in this case, it's about what data you put in. But I will say that our licensing model and everything's configurable and trainable and tunable if needed. But we base our pricing on data volumes. We have a thing called DSRs, or data source records, and under 100,000, that's free. But as you get to millions of records, our pricing is on our website. Just over $1 million is an unlimited license, so you can put as much data in and query as much as you possibly want.
So give me a use case, maybe a typical agency, civilian or military, or just in general, of an application of where they've tried out maybe they've tried to design their own system in-house. I guess it's humans do that now. Hey, we got some developers in-house. We'll try to come up with something, a custom-made internal combustion engine, and we'll make it in the back room. That's almost a comparison, I think, to what you're doing here. I mean, that just seems an awkward comparison, but I'm sure there's people that do that.
There's a lot of government agencies that are building their own. They could have a room full of people, and you think about what I just said: an unlimited license, $1 million. You can imagine the ROI on that if once you start getting to results. As a use case, one of my DHS customers, it's a public use case. You can Google USCIS and Senzing, and there's a public case study where we're looking for fraudulent law firms in data that are connected to people that they're filling out forms to get benefits to come into the country. And so and in that case, they had some in-house written ER that they did not use. They used ours and are very happy with the results.
Wow, it's got to be you did the hard work.
Well, selling software is not hard work.
Years ago, I wrote a weekly column for the Washington Post. One of my co-columnists was the guy named Brian Krebs. He's off on his own doing a lot of security consulting. And the last update I saw from him was that some LLMs had vacuumed up his IP, intellectual property, in his books. And he said a lot of people are getting mad about that.
Yeah.
So when you go out there and you're searching for information, how do you differentiate between PII and non-PII? And can you do this investigation legally, I guess the question is?
Well, so because we're not running the software, we're selling it to the government or other commercial customers. They load the data that they have access and rights to.
Oh, it doesn't do with you. That's right. You don't hold the data.
Don't hold the data, so we don't have that problem.
Yeah, now that makes perfect sense because you're like the Honda motor. I mean, you're the Honda motor. You can put it anywhere. You can put it in a lawnmower. You can put it in a pump. You can put it here. You can put it there. You can
Amazon, Microsoft, Google, on-prem, air-gapped, whatever.
Huh. Interesting. So what challenges do you see coming up in the next 6 to 8 months as far as innovations with artificial intelligence and people using artificial intelligence maybe to modify existing data sets?
Well, so because we have unique features that, especially being explainable, we see it as a wonderful opportunity as people are trying to eliminate fraud, whether that be for the government or banks or whoever. And so we see it as an opportunity where the market's looking for these kind of tools, and we sell an SDK. It runs wherever you want it to run, and you can put it in whatever you want to run. And we'll work with any government customer that would like to do a proof of concept. We actually do those for free, and we do it for everybody, so it's legal.
So I'm trying to think who you'd partner with. You'd partner with a wide variety of systems integrators, but you'd probably partner a lot with software developers who have difficult problems they're trying to give creative answers to. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, so where the Gartner quadrant do you fit? I don't know where you fit. You fit in this is a funny, I don't know what the quadrant is for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with where we are in the Gartner. We do business with Gartner, so we are definitely in there. But it's interesting because when you're doing this behind their firewall and you're getting these kind of results, it's very sticky, and hopefully this would allow them to go focus on other things. It's like you don't recreate a spell checker. Well, we kind of see our engine as that it resonates. That don't write it yourself. Just use us like you would use a spell checker.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if I work for an agency, we had a team of developers and we're working with maybe someone else and we're really working hard. And so what? It's changing. It's changed today. There's a new Will Layton out there. Maybe there's a Lay Wilton and a Wilton and John and Ray Gilray and all kinds of changes there. And so it just seems like a fool's errand to maybe I'm foolish, but to to actually try to come up with something to deduplicate and look for, because it's changing too fast.
And you still want to find those non-obvious relationships. That's really where we find the bad guys.
Yeah. Well, give me a 5-year outlook on where you think your company's heading and this whole idea of waste, fraud, and abuse. We're right in the middle of a firestorm in downtown Washington, D.C., and I'm sure you're aware what's going on here. So see this through the smoke in 4 or 5 years. Where do you think it's going to wind up?
Well, once the dust settles this year from all the changes that happen, I think that we'll try to be a little bit more efficient, and so that hopefully was going to tee up opportunity for us, especially as we try to help commercial companies as well as the government agencies help them find fraud and bad guys in general. And between the different agencies at DHS, the military, we have a lot of really good customers that are very happy with what they're getting from our software.
Yeah, what's difficult is, for example, user experience. Maybe hard to measure. You can maybe get some feedback, but if it's $50,000 or $2 million or $1,200,000, I mean, that's pretty easy number to evaluate, I would think.
Well, especially when you start seeing where you start finding bad guys, right? That's hard to put a number on that because we spend a lot of money to do that. But in general, when you want to understand people or company data, you really haven't any resolution problem. And so first, before let's resolve it. So we simplify it. So then if you do feed to LLMs, it can be more accurate. Or if you feed it to a graph database, it'll be a simpler view of their data because these 6 people really were the same 6 person.
Yeah. Good. Entity resolution and complex federal systems. Well, it sure has given me a leg up on understanding how a new approach may bring in the money, and that's what it's all about. If you can prove yourself with a dollar bill, then you're going to be gold in this town, at least here in 2025. You have been listening to the Federal Tech Podcast with John Gilroy. I'd like to thank my guest, Will Layton, Senior Vice President of Global Sales at Senzing, Senzing.